Yemo bibia kwa ba na yemfamra Mega TV and platform we eso NPP asemi ni ho but ene o makopa asema ba fi ni na eye Professor Frimpong Boatin the surgeon ni interview a okoyeye I think the GH1 trigger a lot of complaints, any comments on the social media space. And also MPP for release statement of which more that's a normal okaino. It is likely some bit me I spell from the party. When I hear your hotemakulu, and also you're the founding member, the MPP man you couldn't be. Yes, on also can and also says Simon Diana Mubi, Professor Frimpong Boatin the surgeon, the dear. And yeah, Muni Miniko Jompiani and other person be so can Munye in every party no mu na yehu se ye kan kra party no mu na mo yedi anase mo ye free party no mu abusuafo sansem we ye bekwa kwakutie Kwesi Pratt Junior eni adumako ba fi ye 1 MPP MP sorry oma clâshed e o sansem we hu any kind of rata detention by the ICE immigration customs enforcement unit and agency or US abuchimemu ene hu komodidie ena ene meme yakọ ne kwakotie sankomo yi bi mesro se bra utie nkomo no na do comment atom na wa like dwumadi na wa share na afoforo atimi enyi bia hwe sansa hanom ewian number 1 authentic platform Mega TV yankopon kan bibia ho na onhyira papa se bibia mo kan ho from day 1 yenkoi na yintinse ni bia koba ebeto aso
Ghanaians were refugees in Cote d'Ivoire because of some escalating tensions in the north. This happened last year. I'm just hoping that government this year will have a foothold, strong foothold on our security situation this particular year. LGBTQ, Kwesi touched on it briefly. If you recall, this was a major campaign issue. Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo was faulted for not signing the bill into law, and we were told before the election that His Excellency was going to do the do and sign the bill into law. Subsequently, we were told that once Parliament, the life of that Parliament has ended, the bill has to come, start all over again. Some private members pushed through the bill. It appeared on the order paper. The majority leader informed us that there was an administrative error. Till date, that administrative error has not been corrected. It has not found its way back onto the paper. Interestingly, all the Christian community, the Muslim community, and you are here, my brother, who trooped to Parliament, who were sitting in the public gallery, suddenly have left the public gallery. The media, who was yourself, and I recall, you're one of the vociferous voices on this particular issue of LGBTQ. Suddenly, you are mute. Oh. Yes, you are not talking about it. The bill now has not found its way onto...
We will talk about it.
Oh, okay. When are you talking about it? We were told that it was going to be signed into law. Immediately enters Parliament. Here we are in the second year. It is not even a topical issue on radio. It's not a topical issue on Good Morning Ghana. And nobody's discussing
We'll bring it back.
You'll bring it back. But that was one of the key promises of the administration. And I'm just hoping that it comes back to the front burner. And hope that this year we are going to have that. Moro, you assure me that it's going to be taken care of. That's fine. Oral.
Right.
And I recall vividly our discussion on this platform.
The fight against corruption.
Yes, I was here with the Venerable Kwesi when the newspapers reported boots. They use the word. I want to get the. Like corruption, like corrupt people. Okay. They told us that $21 billion has been lost, and that they are going to retrieve it. They're going to make sure that corruption is taken out. Blah 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 blah. Here we are. Today, if you listen to the Attorney General himself, he says, not all the 21 billion will be recovered. Not all the 21 billion will be recovered. I listened to Dom Levo. He said, what we gave them was garbage in, garbage out. It was what was received, what was presented. No auditing has been done. Take your time. We were here. I was here with you. You were the host. Yes. We were the hosts.
It says some of the
We
things.
were the hosts when we were told that these people were looters.
Okay.
And I cautioned that we should be careful with the language. But we needed power, so it was okay. Today, we don't know where the looters are. We don't know how much has been retrieved out of the 21 billion. We don't know who has been convicted. That was also one of the problems that I saw this year. Kwesi also talked about the energy sector debt. And we saw a very interesting statement from the finance minister.
Won't you comment the government?
I'm coming to make my point. When the heading was, the Mahama government clears energy sector debts. And it was as if this was the first time energy sector debt was being paid. Same finance minister in his 2025 budget indicated that the same amount of 1.4 billion that he has paid was also paid in 2024. True. It's not novel, but I commend them for continuing the process of reducing the debts, especially when they brought in the one Ghana cedi. And more, I was here with you when the discussion ensued. They told us that by the end of the year, they were going to accumulate 5.4 billion based on the fiscal impact analysis report that the finance minister gave us. When he presented his 2026 budget, they had accumulated 8.6 billion. Converted to dollars, that's almost $800 million. If you have extra $800 million and you use 300, almost 400 million to pay IPPs, what has happened? It has to be a normal process. This year, he's anticipating to get a little over 11 billion Ghana cedis. Convert that to cedis. So yes, if you tax us more and you get more revenue and you use that to reduce our debt, thank God. I want to thank him for reducing our debt. Today, as we speak to you today, electricity has gone up by 28.14%.
You mean cumulative?
Relatively, of course. The whole of last year, it was 18.34% electricity tariffs. They have also increased it by another 9.something%. So currently, the total tariffs from the time His Excellency took over till date is 28.14%. That's also happened in last year. So yes, some good things have happened. And I must commend them for that. And as I said, the optics look nice. And when you see the president interacting with the ordinary Ghanaians, it's beautiful. But I also hope that they go back to their manifesto and execute all the promises that they talked about. The big push. When they came to Parliament and they presented the project list, Moro, go and check it well. Almost 40 to 50% of it are continuing projects. That's fantastic. It's good. I want to commend them for that. If you continue existing projects and then you intend to ensure that it is completed, we don't have any problem with that. It's a good program, but it's important that we also make it clear that yes, they are continuing existing projects, just like what they are doing at Pokwase. It's beautiful. The last time I passed by, I realized that the contractor has done some asphalting on one side of the road. That is good. That is good governance. That is continuation.
Right.
So yes, we'll commend them for the good things that have happened, but also remind them of some of the promises that they made to the Ghanaian people on Galamsey, on security, on LGBTQ, and all that. We hope that this year, all these issues come to the fore and become at the fore.
Now, speaking about...
No, I beg.
Okay.
Just before we draw the curtains on this...
Because I didn't hear that there has not been any
significant paradigm shift since
the
Mahama administration took over. You understand? Indeed, the Mahama administration is implementing the same IMF program which the last government signed. I think that program expires at the end of this month or next month.
It's supposed to be April.
The government has requested for 3 months.
So that takes us about...
But that's the program which is being implemented. Okay. So, for example, if you look at the energy tariffs, it was in the agreement. The previous government committed Ghana to increasing electricity tariffs before he left office. Okay? So if there have been increases in electricity tariffs, you can't just simply blame it on this administration. You signed that agreement before you left office. That's a fact.
Right.
Okay, that's a fact.
I'll explain that when it gets to my turn.
Because
no problem.
This one has come up several times.
Several times now.
No, I'm saying this issue about what you signed
Yes.
in the IMF.
Yes. And the IMF, we signed that we are going to increase electricity.
No, I'm
Yes.
saying that this,
There was a
this
commitment
claim
to
has come
increase
up that-
tariffs.
and you rebutted it several times. That's what
Yes.
I'm saying. That you know. But I'm
No problem. We can deal with that. I mean, I have no problem at all with
in fact,
that.
there was a portion we had to read that portion, but then it was subject to all kinds of interpretation.
But
as
they
to
didn't say
whether
increase.
It actually meant increase.
Yes. They said that
Or
the
do
quarterly
something about
adjustment must be continued. But that quarterly adjustment does not mean a quarterly upward adjustment.
That's
because
what
on the
it means.
basis of the
Yes.
economic factors, you could reduce it.
Right.
And indeed, Kwesi, if you look at the PURC reports from the first and second quarters, because the fourth quarter there was no adjustment, they increased, and the reasons were, one of the reasons was that they had to make up for the loss. But in the third quarter, when the exchange rate had performed so well and inflation had dropped, we were expecting a reduction.
Oh, how?
We were.
How?
Because when you read
My brother,
I'm
my
coming.
brother.
I'm looking at
Please,
I'm looking at the period.
please,
No, I'm
please,
coming. When you look at the
I
period,
will allow you, but it's not your turn. But I will allow you.
okay. When you look at the PURC statement, they normally give reasons for the adjustment, the energy mix, but principally because of the exchange rates, inflation. So when they were dropping, it was our hope that it was going to lead to some drop. But it didn't. In fact, we held them before our committee, and it was at that time that we got to know that some new elements had been added. Fuel, it never used to be part. Reserve margin, it never used to be part. And I have the report here. So the IMF didn't say increase electricity. It said continue with the quarterly adjustment, which is something that the PURC has been doing, whether there's an IMF program or not. And there are years that the PURC increased tariffs when there was no IMF program. So all they said is that make sure that you continue with your adjustment to reflect the economic conditions. That was the point the IMF made.
Have you finished?
Yes, please, I'm Kwesi.
Okay. I hate to do this, but obviously, I think what you're doing is that you're engaged in verbal acrobatics. You exited office at the time when the energy sector was under the weight of a $3 billion debt. You understand? You exited office at a time when the PURC itself had determined that the previous increase in tariffs could not make the energy sector viable. It didn't meet the shortfall and so on. So how could you have expected that it would go down? How could anybody have expected that tariffs would go down?
Given the size of the debt.
Given the size of the debt, given the size of the general situation in the energy sector. Nobody, given all the parameters, nobody, could argue that cost would come down. Because what the PURC did at the time, I think, was just to recover less than 20% of cost.
Yeah.
Less than 20% of cost. So it was obvious when we were signing that agreement that cost would rise.
Absolutely.
That tariffs would rise. That adjustment meant increase. It was so obvious. I don't know why we have to struggle over this. It's so obvious. If we just reduce everything to verbal gymnastics and so on, then we can continue. Okay. The reality is that when we signed the agreement with the IMF, the understanding was that tariffs will continue to be adjusted upwards in order to generate the necessary resources to pay for the cost of generating power. You understand? That was clear.
Right.
It was very clear. In any case, the energy mix you talk about has not changed. The energy mix that the Mahama administration inherited has not changed.
It's the same.
It's the same. The only significant change has been the exchange rate. That's the only significant, is the exchange rate. That's the most significant thing that has happened. But even the exchange rate, what are we really practically talking about? We are talking about, in essence, a movement from 14 point something cedis to $1 to 10 point something cedis to $1. Check the percentage rate.
From 14.7 now to 10.45.
Yes. So check the percentage rate. You understand?
It's almost 30%.
Yeah. So check the percentage rate. You understand? So I think this is how that the president is indicating that this may be the last IMF deal.
Yeah.
He intends to make this the last IMF deal. That is very refreshing. Because what we have done over a long period of time is that we go to elections, politicians come and make all kinds of promises to us, we give them power, and they refuse to listen to us, and they go to the IMF. So effectively, from 1983 up to today, the real government has been the IMF and the World Bank. What we elect are spokespersons and representatives of the two institutions. And I've been very worried about that situation, you know. So the time has come when we have to take our destiny into our own hands. The time has come when we have to make policies and implement the policies and so on. There's another question which arises, which is simply this, that if the Muhammad administration is implementing the same IMF deal which the Akufo-Addo government signed, then what accounts for these significant improvements that we are noting? Of course, the answer is clear.
Right.
There's a lot more discipline and prudence.
Yeah. Fiscal discipline.
Yeah, discipline and prudence in the management of national affairs.
Right.
And what that teaches us is that this economy is not a hopeless case. It can be managed, it can improve, and perhaps if we add a paradigm shift to the prudence and the discipline, we can achieve a lot.
All right.
First of all, I think it's also refreshing to hear the president talk about this being our last. But you see, history will tell us almost all the presidents made this statement. Almost all our presidents made this statement. Oh, we are never going to go to the IMF. And then you see, he made a very interesting point. If you check history, any time the economy is doing very, very well, it is when we are under IMF program. Check.
No,
I'm talking about from Nelson's time, when Nels took over, we're coming out of the HIPIC program. Then that was when Dufour was doing single digits.
For 11 months.
Yes, for 11 months. Then we left, and then His Excellency came in, and then we went back, spillover. Then they went back to an IMF program. Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo comes in to take from 2017, and Kwesi, check the record. The economic record from 2017 to 2019. In fact, 2018 to 2019, we had 2 years running single digits inflation.
Master,
I
beg you. Oh. There are some things which are so clear we don't have to argue about
yes.
it. Even if you accept what you're saying.
Yes.
2017 to 2026 is not all the time.
No, I'm saying that now we are seeing some significant improvements in the economy. We are under a program. Now you can't do certain things. So I always tell people that you will really see my brother Dr. Atoforsen's prowess when the IMF leave the scene.
Post.
When now, as Kwesi talked about, when election is getting closer, when the pressure starts coming, when the president goes to a town and the chief tells him that, oh, you're going, then spot on at that same area, without even knowing what has gone to the body, the president will say, oh, I'm not playing way. Then the finance minister must look for some money to come and do it. It happens. So for me, I'll be very excited if this becomes our last. So I will be extremely excited.
That our true test, fidelity for managing the resources of this country in a more prudent way.
Yes.
Would happen two ways. After the IMF program, and then also when the elections.
And then when you see after the IMF, when the discipline that Kwesi is talking about still continues, when you are firm on that, I'll be very excited.
Okay.
But for now, you can't. You have to commend them. I've said it, Kwesi. I mean, if inflation is 5.something%,
5.4,
you don't have to argue about it. Yeah. Especially when all the institutions predicted that we are going to get to a single digit, but by the end of the year. So if he achieves it before the end of the year, that's significant. That's okay.
Okay.
But I'm saying
what
that
I cannot accept from the Honourable Member of Parliament is the glorification of the neoliberal path into which we've been pushed by the IMF and the World Bank. We cannot glorify that. This country has suffered severe consequences as a result of the pursuit of the neoliberal path to development. And I go back to 1983, during the Rawlings tenure. the PNDC era. Look, in 1983, 300,000 workers lost their jobs as a result of implementing the same IMF World Bank program. 300,000 workers lost their jobs. Between 1983 and now, the national currency, the cedi, has cumulatively been devalued by something like 26,000%. Can you wrap your head around it? We have destroyed 400 state enterprises. Access to social services have been significantly limited as a result of the implementation of this IMF World Bank program. So on the basis of the facts, on the basis of the statistics, you cannot hold the position that the only time we do well is when we sign an IMF agreement. It hasn't been good for us. The record is there, it's clear. You understand? And I cannot accept that position.
Okay, I guess we should.
I was even talking about, I get the point I'm making, but especially with the macroeconomic indicators, you realize that anytime a new government takes over and there's a previous IMF program that they follow, you see the exchange rates, inflation.
No, you're trained analysis.
You see it. You see that.
Saying that
it's not spot on.
No, because like you said,
I'm telling you,
brother, it is not spot on.
No, check 2009, 2010, 2011. We're doing very well.
My brother,
the figures.
Listen to me. President Mill won elections, I think
2008.
2008.
Yes.
December.
Yeah, December.
By the end of January 2009, the resident representative of the World Bank sent a letter to President Mills. What did that letter say?
Right.
I don't recall.
You don't recall. But he did send a letter to President Mills describing the horrible state of the economy just when we were exiting an IMF World Bank program.
Oh, okay.
So check the record. And if you check the record, you cannot come to the positions that you are pushing.
That any time a government inherits from another government and an IMF program, that's guaranteed.
I think the point we are all making is that what we are seeing in terms of the economic indicators, they look good, and it's our hope that it continues, the discipline continues
even after the IMF program.
That's the point.
That hope is shared.
Yes, that's our hope. Yeah. That's our hope that discipline. Okay. Because Kwesi, I'm sure you know some of even Ato's colleagues. Some of them are not too excited, especially with the way he's been, do this. You hear this. I mean, we are in parliament. People complain.
I'm not in parliament.
You mean things are tight?
Things are tight. Things are tight. So
it's called fiscalism.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying, that, bro, these things do happen.
Okay. We
are praying that he remains resolute.
But you see, the thing about it is that what appears to be different this time around, I think there's a dogged determination to be fiscally disciplined.
Look,
check the number of ministers that have been appointed,
and so
there's a lot of.
But just a point about the 24-hour economy.
Yes.
Okay. I have a fundamental problem. Okay.
Oh.
Yes, because during the electioneering period, what Ghanaians understood to be 24-hour economy was simply that we'll be working around the clock.
Yes.
Nothing more.
Yes.
After the election, the perspective appears to be changing to something else. Yeah. And that's problematic.
That's true.
So we need to know really what the 24-hour economy should mean. We knew what it meant. What it meant was that people would work.
Yes.
There will be
that was the narrative.
Yes.
Okay. Shift system.
Now it doesn't appear to be that. And there's a need for some interrogation. Okay. So I agree with that. Right. But it's also important to recognize that the program is being implemented in some areas.
In fact,
if you take Ghana Publishing,
yes,
Ghana Publishing is running 24 hours.
Yeah, Ports and Harbours as well.
And as a result, its revenue has improved significantly as a result.
They just banned 15 million cedis.
Exactly.
But
it's
I get you, but Kwesi, the Ghana Publishing, the history of Ghana Publishing, if you look at what the previous managing director did, in fact, this current managing director had cause to
Asante,
acknowledge.
He's the former boss.
Acknowledge the the effort.
That's not what I'm talking
Okay.
about. I'm not sharing praise.
Okay, all right.
You understand? I'm not sharing praise.
All right.
What I'm saying is that Ghana Publishing today is implementing the 24-hour economy as was understood before the election victory. You understand? And the other sectors. Ghana Ports.
But just this morning, Akando is asking managers of teaching hospitals to operate 24-hour OPD and labs.
So something is happening. The scale may not be what was expected.
Are hospitals not operating 24 hours?
No, now it's a directive. there's nothing like discretion. Now
what are you talking about? Are hospitals not operating 24 hours all the time?
Maybe so the teaching hospital.
Which teaching hospital?
Maybe they don't do lab.
Which teaching hospital is not working 24 hours?
No, if you read the story, what the minister is saying is that all services must run on a 24-hour basis.
Right.
Honorable is right. Our hospitals were running on a 24-hour basis, but it's not all the services which were running on a 24-hour basis.
Right.
Now, the minister is directing that all the services should run on a 24-hour basis, which is different from what existed before.
Yeah.
So, like, maybe the scan, those scan, okay. All right.
Yes. That's what it means by OPD and lab service. Anyway, so obviously, he talked about corruption and he talked about oral, and suggesting that perhaps oral is becoming a case of flatter to deceive kind of thing. Now, speaking about oral and a fight against corruption, getting public office holders to be accountable when they leave office, not even when they leave office, when he was in office. I don't know whether you've been following the Ken Ofori-Atta matter, because he's one gentleman who we are asking to come and account for his stewardship as finance minister. I'm not saying he's a criminal or anything, far from that, but there are some questions he needs to come and answer, because you said, look, people go to hospital, they do prostrate, whatever, and the next day they are walking. It turns out from what we're hearing that the man has been fit. You know, he's been walking on the streets of America, he's traveled to England, he's back to America, and then just recently we're told that, you know, he's been arrested by the immigration and customs people in America. And why he's been arrested, we're not too sure. But now we're told by some sources that apparently his visa had expired. He was trying to renew his visa so that he can stay, so extend his stay in America. And whilst he was doing that, ICE arrested him. Now we've also had a different version by our Minister of Justice and Attorney General, who says, no, it wasn't a case of his visa being expired. Or in fact, his visa was going to expire, in February next month. But then, proactively, he's applied for an extension. And based on which the authorities have arrested him, because even though his visa was going to expire in February, his stay in America, you know, had already truncated. He should have stayed in America for 6 months or so. Then we've heard Attorney General says, no, this is not account of what actually is happening. What is happening is that in July 2025, his visa was revoked. Now, he doesn't tell us directly that he may have been involved in the revocation of his visa, but he sort of insinuates and suggested that he may have, you know, been behind it. Now we're told that the man, in fact, today is about the 9th day he's sleeping at that detention center in Virginia. And apparently he was arrested in just close to the White House. There's actually a building there which formerly was being used by the former vice president and became president, Kamala Harris. And it cost about $1.8 million or so. Of course, nobody doubts his capacity and ability to buy it, because, you know, he's been in the private sector for a long time. But the fact of the matter is that he's now in a detention center. His lawyers are fighting the American authorities over his arrest. And then secondly, we're being told that he himself is also applying to become a U.S. citizen through his son, you know, who was born and bred in America. That's according to Martin Kpebu and his source. In fact, he said it some time back and he's repeating it. Now, we're told that the Daily Post is telling us that ICE cleared Ken Ofori-Atta as medically fit before detention. And that's Victor Smith, our envoy in the United States of America. We'll look at all of this as part of the general broader issues about fight against corruption, whether the government has lived up to its Wednesday. Collins Haduma-Komensa, who's also former Deputy Minister of Energy. He's also here with us. Yes. Obviously. Ken Ofori-Atta, and matters arising.
You see, Moro.
Yes, sir.
I hope you guys remember that I delivered the Atamils Memorial Lecture
Yeah.
2024.
Yeah.
And in that lecture, I pointed out that the National Democratic Congress was not managing expectations well with regards to the fight against corruption.
I recall.
And I pointed to the difficulties in prosecuting under this dispensation.
You said it here, Simon, again.
Yes. And I told them that it was possible that by the end of their tenure, they may not have achieved any significant prosecutions, even as they put in their best and so on. So I told them to manage expectations. I recall that after that lecture, many people in the NDC thought and argued that I was speaking for these NPP elements whom they claimed had stolen our money and so on. But that's not the point I was making. The practical reality. You cannot come into office and within 1 year throw tens of ministers and former appointees into jail. It's not possible. If you are respecting their rights, if they are allowed to defend themselves using the law and so on, you cannot. There's a process.
Yeah.
And I've always referred to other trials before. And one of the most significant ones was the trial of Dr. Opu.
Yeah.
After 8 years, NPP could not secure conviction. Of course, I also believe that he was an innocent man. Okay. But after 8 years, they couldn't secure a conviction. So it is not that easy. Now, I worry, and I really worry a lot, when I hear people like my brother and friend, Honorable Collins, make the point that, they haven't achieved much in the fight against corruption. Expect them to achieve much? How? If the due process is going to be followed, it will be slow. And people in the NPP should not be accusing the Mahama administration of being slow. Because if it's not going to be slow, what is it going to do? It's going to bend the law.
Yeah.
It's going to violate people's rights and so on in order to achieve a certain level of speed. So the last people to complain that the Mahama administration has been weak or slow in achieving the objectives that oral sets should be the NPP elements. You understand? Because otherwise, speed will be applied. And when speed is applied, what it means is that some of the processes may have to be truncated and so on. So it is not in their best interest to be accusing the Mahama administration of being slow or not realizing the promise it made with oral and so on. It is not in the best interest of the NPP and its leaders to be making those claims. The full soldiers in the NDC and neutrals and so on can be making those claims, not people from the NPP. Don't, because it will spell hell for you. Okay. Now, to narrow it to the Kenoforiata case specifically, I recall a time when Mr. Kenoforiata appeared visibly to be sick. And there was a lot of concern about his health.
Yeah. And
I recall people suggesting that he removed himself from the Ministry of Finance because it was stressful. And I hope all of you recall his response.
Yep.
His response was that Ghana's interest was too dear to him that he was even willing to risk his health in order to serve the country. Why has the story changed now? Now he's not willing to risk his health in order to serve the interests of Ghana that he loves so much. What has changed? What is it that has significantly changed? Okay. Besides, from all that we know, unless there's something else that the public has not been told, what he has is prostrate. I don't know the stage at which his prostrate is. But Massa, everywhere you go in the world, not just in Ghana, Many people have these prostrate problems, and they work, they stand trial, they live in prison, they live outside prison, and so on. Prostrate is no longer sufficient grounds for refusing to be accountable. Why? I'm quite sure that some of the judges have prostrate. You understand? I mean, some of the judges you'll be facing, they have prostrate. They have prostrate problems. But they are sitting there in court and judging. Okay. The science is that men, after 40 years, are most likely
predisposed
to have prostate cancer or issues related to prostate cancer. It's a normal thing. Just like fibroid is so normal to women and so on. So that is not sufficient excuse for what he appears to be doing. You understand? Now, for all practical purposes, I think that he has worsened his case. You see, today, there are so many leaders of the last government who have been accused of wrongdoing, who have been granted bail. They sleep in their houses and they go about their normal duties pending further investigations and prosecution. He may not have that privilege if he comes back. And you know why? Because now it's clearly established that it's a flight risk. And judges will find it very difficult, judges and investigators will find it very difficult to grant him bail, as other colleagues of his have been granted bail. So he has worsened his case, and I feel sorry for him, that it has gotten to this level. I really feel sorry for him. Why can't he come and defend himself against the allegations which have been made against him? I don't think that he today can say that the courts in Ghana are kangaroo courts. If he were to make that claim, what would they say? What would that say about the administration to which he was finance minister? How much has changed in the judiciary since John Mahama took over? How much has changed? Majority of high court judges, majority of appeal court judges and so on were appointed by his own administration as we speak now. The judicial system has not changed. So what claims can he make? So I think that it's in his best interest to come, face the charges, and deal with them. I would not for one moment suggest that he's guilty as charged or he's guilty as alleged. It may well be possible that he's an innocent man. And indeed, for all those who are appearing before investigative bodies, including Iroko and so on, the presumption should be their innocence. They are innocent until convicted by a competent court. And that is how all of us should treat them. That is how we should treat all citizens of Ghana, not NPP members, not members of the Akufo-Addo administration. The NDC is not going to be in power forever. At some point, maybe 50 years' time, maybe 40 years' time, maybe 10 years' time, maybe 12 years' time, the NDC would not be in power. We expect the same standard to be applied to NDC leaders as is applied to NPP leaders, as it applies to CPP leaders. We should be principled in these matters. You understand? And if we are principled in these matters, we will not be counting how much has been recovered from prosecution of those accused of corruption. We'll be counting how much justice has been done to citizens and to the country.
True.
It's not money. Question of justice cannot be counted in monetary terms. And I want to believe, I firmly believe in being fair and just to every citizen of our country. That should be our pursuit.
I see.
We should not be counting money. Yeah, so you catch somebody put them before kangaroo courts, as happened some time ago, and extract monies for them. Is that an achievement?
Yeah.
It's certainly not an achievement, you know. So I insist on the true application of all the principles of the rule of law.
Okay.
I insist on justice for every citizen. You know, I insist on fair treatment for every citizen,
right,
whether they are NPP, NDC, or CPP.
Okay.
That's what I insist on.
All right. Collins, if you listen to the Dominic Ayine interview, he mentions that he's been engaging the lawyers of Ken Ofori-Atta in America, for some of whom are former attorney generals of America. There's a very popular name that has escaped me. I mean, these are top American lawyers. And they, in his engagement with them, they were requiring of him to assure them that if Ken comes to Ghana, he'll be given a fair trial and that he won't be molested and harassed and manhandled and so on. I mean, I don't know what kind of image that creates about Ghana. I mean, when you hear stuff like that.
Well, first of all, I'll come back to that.
Okay.
I recall the lecture that Kwesi talked about.
Okay.
Now, Kwesi, the NDC did not listen to your lecture on the image destruction of some innocent Ghanaians. We had members who are now cabinet members moving into houses with cameras and accusing some people as thieves. In fact, there was a whole program at the Jubilee House where Oral presented a whole gamut of documents, and they told us that the members of the Nana Addo Akufo-Addo government have stolen money to the tune of $21 billion. That's what we were told. So if today, the same members of that group come back on television and tell us that apparently the 21 billion that we talked about, that helped us to win election, we cannot retrieve all. We have every right to call them out.
But when you say members
I'm
of
coming.
that group, no, hold on.
I'm
When you say
coming.
members of that group, you may not be factually accurate.
I'm coming.
Do you know why?
I'm coming.
Because the oral was not
I'm
a
coming.
party group.
Take your time.
Yes.
Look at the members over there. Look at them.
So
Look at the members.
Demelovo.
Please look at the members.
Yes, I've seen them.
Apart from the, look at them.
Demelovo.
Miss, apart from them,
Yes.
which of them don't have a position in this government? What are you talking about?
The foreign minister is not involved in prosecutions.
Thank you. I'll take you.
He's not involved
But
in
the foreign minister knew that he was not involved in prosecution. But he was telling the president that 21 billion has been stolen and called people looters and thieves.
Not in his capacity as a prosecutor or investigator.
But he knows very well.
In his capacity as an ordinary citizen,
But he
was
knows.
compiling allegations. Allegations.
So when you met the president, you should have told the president that these are allegations. He told the president, and it was live on the papers, that these are looters. They call them thieves. The foreign minister, my very good friend Okujeto, he knows that he's not a prosecutor. But he was accusing people and moving to people's properties with video cameras and calling them thieves. So if today, the same group of people, the Attorney General comes back to tell us, if one of the oral members, the Attorney General was on Newsfile yesterday.
But he's not a member of oral.
Take your time.
Yes.
The document has been handed over to
not a
him.
prosecutor.
No, but Okujeto is not a prosecutor. But the same
He
Okujeto
is not the attorney general.
But Okujeto, he knew that he was not a prosecutor.
So it's not the same people.
No, it's the same people. I'm coming, Kwesi.
Okujeto, Abakwa, and Dominic
Kwesi.
are different people.
Please. Let me make my point. Okujeto, knowing very well that he's not a prosecutor.
Okay.
But he was categorical in his statement. And called people looters, called people thieves. And told the president that he's been able to receive documents that to the tune of $21 billion. So now, if the one who's prosecuting now tells us that those documents cannot pass, some of them cannot pass for prosecution, I have every right to call them out.
Right.
And when I do so, I'm not telling His Excellency to manipulate the law. In fact, His Excellency has no option. He has no option but to follow due process. He has no option. He's the first gentleman of the land. He has absolutely no option to either slow the process or quicken the process to favor somebody else. No, he has no option. He has only one option: to ensure that the dignity of those people accused are maintained. That is the only option he has. So I'm well within my space to call them out. In fact, on this same table, I was with you, Kwesi. You even advised. You advised when the papers were calling them looters. And it was so unfair. Now, documents have come. Domlevo himself is telling us that most of the things were not audited. This was just things they received. How do you just receive documents you've not audited and have not gone through and call those people thieves and looters? Is this fair? Then you use that to win election. After you've won election, you come back to the same people and tell us that, oh, on the basis of how we scrutinize the document, some of them cannot go for prosecution. You have tarnished their image. You have already killed them. That is the point I'm making. And you talk about fairness. That is why I made that point. My point is that this was a promise. 21 billion all over the place. These guys are thieves. They are bullies. And I remember that day when we were having this argument. All the complaints they received were complaints that were received from 2016 to 2024.
What do you have against that?
I was very clear that day that this is a clear political agenda. The idea is not to fight corruption as it's supposed to be, but to paint a certain group of people as black.
No, but 2016 is part of another administration.
No, I'm talking about but I'm talking about Nana Akufo-Addo's government. When Akufo-Addo took over,
Yes.
2017, all the reports, all the report they received.
Yes.
We were here. They received.
2017.
Yes. Nobody came to give them any report from His Excellency. Yes. Everything was from 2017. So it was a calculated attempt. And the wording, and you can go back and play when they were presenting these documents. The wording, the diction,
But
the words they used.
they also said, and I heard about Blackwell Clare, but Blackwell also said that if there's been in the past administrations, preceding 2017, the person is free to bring those documents. He said it and again.
Bro, we all saw what happened when they presented these documents.
Yes.
The narrative that was.
It means nobody's brought anything.
No. The narrative,
in that
the narrative that was sent around,
Yes.
and the fact that they failed to listen to Uncle Kwesi's advice.
Oh, my brother.
They failed. They failed to listen to his advice when Uncle Kwesi was warning them that what you are doing, be careful, because everybody, as he puts it, has the right to be heard.
Okay.
But you cannot take one side, kill the person, turn back now to tell us that, oh, after you've killed the person and used it for your political gains, oh, document I will not prosecute you. And that the 21 billion, all of it cannot be retrieved. Hey, now you're telling you cannot retrieve 21 billion.
No, but realistically.
I think we have to be
fantastic. So you see, you are talking about realistic.
Realistically.
I'm going to talk about realistic.
Yes.
These people that led ORA, these are distinguished individuals. They know about reality.
Yeah, but
they are aware of the reality.
Let's be fair.
But the eyes.
Let's be fair. The people who led ORA made it plain that they were collecting complaints.
Yes. And allegations.
Which needed to be verified through proper investigation.
Yes.
The president made it clear that he was not acting as president at the time. You understand? He made it clear that all that he was doing was asking people who have some suspicion and so on to bring them forward so that when he assumed office, those may be investigated. So that was clear, and I think we have to be fair.
But Kwesi, the point he then makes.
The point he then makes is that
if you are just collecting
these allegations
claims and suspicions, how then
do you go to a conclusion?
How do you then describe that
group of people as thieves?
That's where it's coming from.
How do you then conclude that
Somebody has looted, somebody has stolen,
they are looters. When all you are doing is just receiving complaints.
You see, my friends. Collins knows.
Right.
He may not admit on camera, but he knows that in the past administration, some shenanigans took place.
Fact.
He knows that as a fact.
Fact.
Okay? But I'm saying that all of us must uphold the principles of
fairness and rule of law.
So we must uphold that. And if we're going to uphold that, we cannot be convicting people on platforms such as this.
Fantastic.
But all of us know that some things went very, very, very wrong.
We
know. You know that.
You know that
you've
better than I do. You've made my day.
But you know that better than I
You've
do.
made my day.
Yeah.
By saying that because there's a process that will lead to somebody being called a thief or a looter. When you start the process, you have to be careful with your diction and give those people a fair hearing. That's the point.
That's fine.
Now,
but we cannot be arguing as if nothing went wrong. Everything was okay.
No.
Because
now
we know that some things went very, very wrong.
To get over that, the last time I pleaded a fifth.
Okay, not to comment on it. That's fine. I'll
continue to plead.
I hear you. In fact, it's well within your rights.
But so that itself is very significant.
It was the same thing he said the last time. He says it's profound. It's called a definite silence.
I'm saying that I plead the fifth.
No problem. So Kofi Addo,
and I'll continue to plead.
Very loud silence.
Very loud silence. Okay. So Kofi Addo, and he says, "Good morning, gentlemen. In the light of the excellent economic environment Ghana enjoys, I'm curious to know Honorable Collins Adomako's opinion on Godfrey Dami's concerted failed attempt to destroy Dr. Atu Forson through a weaponized AG's office. Collins is an honest man, and I know he secretly knows Professor Frimpong Boateng's admonitions for candor in politics, or that's coming from Kofi Addo. Now, Carlos from Ododudu says that, yes, Moro agree that some of them are thieves. Just because they have not been prosecuted does not mean they are not thieves. The person speaking is part of the investigation. He will soon be dealt with. Oh, I see. Now, he continues to say that with due respect to NPP representatives sitting in your studio, I want to say that NPP has shown itself to be a very consistent and an unserious political party. The same people who left the economy in shambles are now witnessing it being revived and managed in an extraordinary manner. At first, they claimed the economy was not being managed prudently and told Ghanaians to wait until Christmas. They said when importers begin to bring their goods, the city would depreciate and the dollar would rise. Today, their representative has shifted the goalposts again, now saying we should wait till the elections. This clearly shows they have no understanding or credible ideas about how the economy is being managed. That's Carlos from Ododudu. Samuel Brian Boabing says that Ken will come when he's fit, or when he believes he can get the best healthcare in Ghana. People should not impose their personal health decisions on others. The Attorney General on the OSP can proceed with their prosecutions without him being physically present in Ghana. The fight against corruption will fail under this government because we have an Attorney General who whitewashes his party members who have caused huge financial loss to the state and then cast dubious deals. Yet prosecute his opponents for lesser offences. What happened to the maxim, he who seeks equity must come with clean hands? Oral is a sham. Just as when members of the CJ lied about President Kufuor selling all the gold bars at the BOG and having twins with Giselle Yadzi, Samuel Brand Boabin sent that message. And Robert Kuman says he's thanking us a lot for the compliments and that he's grateful. Charlie, Robert, this 20 years matter, you'd have to come clean with us. Let us know what exactly is the issue. And then Tafa in Amraha says, good morning, Audu, and good morning to your guests. Tell Honorable Adomako that if there are witches out there, then someone must hunt them. Honorable Adomako, you are in this country and nobody has ever gone to your house or stopped you from asking the questions, and not even you alone. There are many of your party members who are moving around freely without being harassed or questioned by anybody. So please don't talk as if every member of your party is being questioned by the authorities. Be fair, you're one gentleman I respect a lot. That's coming from Tafa Amrahia. Now, Austin Game, who is a labor expert, says, good morning to you and two brothers with you. My view is that the first year in many ways has been reasonably phenomenal, but a lot more remains to be done, especially in the area of conflict resolution. I'm not surprised. He's very too much. In fact, the Daily Post, is it the Daily Post or one of the, sorry?
Tired of you.
Professor Frimpong Boateng.
But he hasn't said.
No, I'm talking about some colleagues of his. And we're told the NPP to sack traitors. And it starts from Frimpong Boateng. That story is here. We're told that Paul Awuni said the New Patriotic Party has resolved to get rid of individuals who have been contrived traitors and hired backstabbers working in the interest of the party's being a political opponent. One of the considered betrayers who will soon be shown the exit to serve as a deterrent, according to an information gathered, is former Minister of State Professor Kwesi Frimpong Boateng. Accordingly, the party has begun formal processes to expel the ex-Minister of Environment, Science and Technology and Innovation, following his unsavory and anti-party comments during an interview on Channel 1 TV on January 12, 2026. Collins, what's happening? Your elections is just around the corner, I think in 2 weeks.
You know something?
And
the party,
all these comments, right?
The party is in a very...
Custodian, you want it? Inside, so please go ahead.
Moro, the party is in a very slippery area.
Okay.
Time.
Okay.
And my only admonition is that people like Frimpong Boateng and co, great level of respect that we have for them. I just plead with them that it is not cool when a party you belong to, benefited from, is going through some hardship or some problem, and there's a time you are stepping on the party. You know, I think with his experience and knowledge, I don't know if I can advise him, because I'm not too sure I am at the level of advising Professor Frimpong Boateng, but I can only admonish him that I want him to be part of the rebuilding process, you know, and not to stay on the fence and, as it were, be throwing stones into an already weakened party that is trying very hard to reshape its future, you know. And I'm sure he's part of that. He should tone down on some of the rhetoric, you know, and rather come in, you know, join hands to ensure that things are managed to an appreciable level where the party now becomes more attractive to the Ghanaian people. I mean, I listened to his interview. Tomorrow, things like the party is fake, you know. Oh, really? The party is fake. I'm not a member.
He says the party has changed. This is not the party he joined many decades ago.
I don't understand. When he became a minister, what party was it?
Okay.
Was it the old party or that was Nanado's party?
That's a valid question.
I'm trying to understand.
Yeah.
When he accepted to be a minister, a cabinet minister, under Nana Danko Akufo-Addo, was the party the old one or the new party? I just want to understand. Because nothing really, the leadership has not changed really when he was a minister. You know, so I'm pleading with him. You know, his expertise is needed. You know, himself and others, they should come in and let's try and jaw and see the way forward. But I'm no longer a member of that fake party. I mean, if the current party is fake and you're no more a member, what are you trying to say?
Right.
You get the point I'm making. But I'm sure that with his experience and his knowledge, call one or two people behind the scenes. Let's see how best we can resolve this issue. Okay. And interesting enough, I see a lot of old folks always come up to speak when they're getting close to an election. They suddenly resurface when there's an election, you know, and I don't know whether he has a particular candidate. Because he was very clear that Bawumia is a no-no. He's he
doesn't support Bawumia.
And that any other candidate, he never mentions anybody. Apart from Bawumia, any other candidate who comes is fine for him. You know, so he's very clear about his dislike for Bawumia. This was the man you were in cabinet with.
Yeah.
You were sitting in cabinet with. You know, and it's sometimes, I don't know. But for me, my appeal is that I'm begging himself and very knowledgeable, strong old folks within the party. I think they should come in and help revamp the party rather than being outside and be throwing things into an already weakened party after this election, which is trying its best. And this is not the first time a political party is going through this. I mean, people think the NDC just became the NDC we see now. It was tough when they lost 2016. Whoever thought His Excellency will come back? Whoever thought? This was a party where even founders' wife, were at a party, but they've managed to come together. Why? Because they had their old folks, no matter how disgruntled they were, stay in and help rebuild the party. But to continuously, always throwing mud into an already difficult, muddy area, it becomes a challenge. I don't know, as I said, I can't advise him. He's way above my pedigree. But my only caution is that he should come and let's solve the problem. No matter what is happening within the party. As the council says, no matter what is happening, he should come, let's sit down, let's resolve the party. Freedom Party only started talking ill when he was changed as a minister.
Yeah.
Suddenly, everything has changed.
Okay.
Why? So I'm begging him. He should come. Let's do the party.
Okay, see, I don't know how difficult it's going to be for the party, because we've heard Dr. Nyahuta Maklo, who has also suggested that if you sack Frimpong Boateng, then you must prepare to sack all of us from the party. That's serious.
I think my brother and friend Collins has skirted over the issue. The real problem is this. In this contest, you can insult Kwabena Japan, you can tear him to pieces, the party would not take any action. You can call Kennedy Japan names, abuse him, the party will take no action. The only person on whose behalf the party takes action when he's attacked.
Yeah, so that is it. Inti ensem no ena yako akwakuti edi abano na debia meka NPP ye niam bia ebe ha omo and emiso omo adwinya maso NPP ahye enim bia se a they think say sa niam no mo ahye ase no edi nkabum anase edi omo beba power, but they are rather sacking or disintegrating or disuniting themselves, like how they think say bia eno na bebo ma party no enya hodin. Aka very few weeks, not less than 3 weeks, and then 14th and 13th 14th I stand to be corrected. Yeko na 14th na yakwa akoto aba delegate ekwa akoto aba no mo yi okandini obedi party nanim e dia akọ 2028 general elections. In the first place, sa kan si na nkasa ntokwa wom dada, because utie Dr. Brian Champon and Crawford, they are not I mean comfortable about how the whole process is being organized, because they feel like enkofobi person mu ye nima bi na mu edi favor some candidate bi. The same thing applies to Kennedy Japan ni team. Emma nanu kwa lestete Citizen Eye Ghana a petition and I say okansembi eme wi akire police force assess some investigation or whatever. Ni na election kroya. So it tells you na election kro na so no omo toto ayampia de mo ho se ba omianko fokotena TV so a no mo toma Kennedy nko fokotena so no so mo gba kutia enti no ko no munya enjoy ena masen akofa sa die we asen besim. So you catch us MPP bet na opposition for not less than 41 years. People think say some can tell can say a joke, because they are not ready to mend their party. They are not ready to come together as a political party to what? To obtain power, and I say to capture power. Any political party be and aim no any say obeji political power. By MBC MPP forward, are they ready to take political power? Day in, day out, their activities, their comments, their reaction as a strong opposition party crown, it doesn't speak well of them. because adikitwa bianca anyone from Bekasahua, then they will come and do press conference. She say Ghana for us are typical Ghanaians. Our money NDC for NPP for knows very well say NPP buy a Mwame Ghana. This is not about NPP and DC, but the floating voters. Our more Fibiana and I say every election year biano. Baby, omo pen who decided some better tobacco. They don't have card for any other political party, but they decide on that day, and I say very few months or few weeks to election, and a few days to election. No more decided where to vote to. These are the people they are hailing at forcing because they have seen this man is really doing well. These are the people they are praising John Mahama because they have seen this man with humbleness and visionary president. These are the people are what? These are the people who are what? Praising Sami Jamfi because they know this young man is forcing for Ghana. Instead of NPP to stop the press conference and target on a very nice policy anchor, they have lost focus and always criticizing on nothing. Good board ka boy could be a say could you upon Krumakoka say and you good board no maboka nam a Bawa Raw campaign or whoever Eddie me. A question here. It tells you that these crookeds, these people, they are not meant for what? Business. They are always meant for distraction. They are meant for what? Distraction. So be distracted. They are meant for distraction. In the NPP as a political party, I personally I have problem with them. Case you indicate, and somewhere you can you papa you didn't sing. Professor from Pombat the surgeon cocaine. What can I say? Because of some more by they were busy. They were busy chopping. So they didn't hear that statement. And do you know what he said? Brow they report on about Montin so I just said Galamsi course for Ghana. I nam so ma MPP for Pam Nanado Pam or CHB Nanado Nankasani to Galamsi then crop for. I didn't sense a president, political party I it is for the president to Galamsi. Nenedo Kokasi party ni fake. What is new about this? I don't really get MPP people. I don't get them. I don't understand how their logic. Menti I say, we are more position but don't you know say you're losing strength, you're losing focus. Some of it say as an opposition party, now mobile dream policies are more for the next election. I'm at the Ghana people or money sympathy be ashes so betting the mamba and I'm betting them vote kakrani parliamentarians kakra and more secure. And yema, look at what you're doing. MPP, I didn't know NDC opposition, they were planning of bringing policies that will capture the minds of Ghanaians and the people, the electorate, the academics, and the international bodies. They planned about a whole lot of things, and they have started executing every single plan of planning Ghana's every single policy. MPP, what are you doing? The only thing you know is to destroy yourselves. Your target is NDC, your opponent, but it's more NDC because NDC yeah the money and I'm fighting more. It is fine for you when you know. 38 in the moon who say we are the next election in Jinao. As will be charity Mababe 28. That is the fact. Inti Munya year. It is our party no. No position at that is the raw fact, the reality on ground. Shall I be a comment section? Media me just why mega. I could push my crown. Bye bye.